Well, that brings us on to the US.
Nothing much happened in the US.
No, not really. I mean, so the start, Bottas, no, not Bottas, sorry. What's his name? Max gets pole. Max gets pole, which was very surprising because this is meant to be like a Mercedes track and all of this, and everyone's saying Mercedes is going to do well. Max gets pole, and now everyone's thinking, oh, what's going to happen now? Into turn one, Lewis, like, finesses him completely. He takes the lead. But Red Bull's pace was very strong, to be fair to them. And they ended up winning just about. Obviously, this was when Lewis is on fresh tyres and he's hunted down Max to the end, as he normally does. And Crofty's hyping this up and they're saying, oh, this is it. He's but just within DRS. He was outside DRS the whole time. Like it was.
He doesn't make it to like.
Yeah, it was never that close. It was close, sure. He was within 2 seconds, but by the time he reached that 2 second cushion, he just.
There was not enough time. I think there was like 1 lap left or something.
Yeah, Mick Schumacher held up Verstappen a little bit, but then gave him DRS. So, ended it there.
Perez is sick with no water.
Yeah, so Perez actually, they said afterwards he had an illness. It wasn't COVID, but he was just sick. He was really sick. And his drink didn't work either. So he's doing the entirety of the US Grand Prix. This is like autumn time, so still pretty warm, but obviously inside a Formula 1 car. 90 minutes of pure sweat, and he didn't even have his drink.
And he finished podium.
Yeah, he finished third.
Yeah, I have to give him to that. Give him that.
Solid performance from him.
I think that's everything.
Yeah, that sums up the US.
Mexico is just I don't like Mexico. I'm very firmly against Mexico. I think it's a very boring track.
Yeah, so this is when we started. I think Mexico was our first.
Yeah, Mexico was our first podcast. And
well, the first one we actually put out.
And I complained about Mexico being very boring because nothing happened in Mexico.
I didn't really want to believe you before the race, but now afterwards, I completely
like,
afterwards.
Max struck pole and Max just ran away with it. Like he finished 16 seconds ahead of.
He didn't. Well, in qualifying, he came third.
Oh, he came third. Oh.
But obviously, this was when I had my rant about Bottas just letting him past. So he overtakes both Mercedes into turn one, and then that's it. Like, and the race was won at that point.
You have to say, like, this is what I'm saying about Hamilton's defense is bad. Like,
that wasn't Lewis's fault.
No, but, is this where they left the inside way open for him and
they left the outside way open for him. So. It's just in general awful coordination. I think Lewis slyly mentioned this in an interview afterwards. He was kind of saying, "Oh, Bottas, I watched the replay. Like Bottas could have blocked him, but he didn't." And all it was not great, to be honest.
He doesn't want to say anything bad about his teammate, but it's like he didn't do well.
He doesn't, yeah. Especially after he keeps saying that he's the greatest teammate ever and all of this stuff, which we don't believe that. The reason actually,
I think actually his best teammate was Jenson Button. Because they didn't fight.
Oh, in terms of chemistry and stuff.
Yeah, but they pushed each other to win races.
Yeah.
Obviously, if they had a better car, I think they would have won the championship. One of them would have won it. But there wasn't that animosity he had with Nico. There wasn't that animosity he had with Fernando. Obviously, Hecky, you should have mentioned. Valtteri should have mentioned.
So what? So he had.
The only one.
So it was Alonso. They'd fight. Yeah. Heikki Kovalainen is
useless.
Yeah. Then it was Button, wasn't it?
Yeah, Button was the only one who could push him.
Yeah, so him and Button, even though they crashed and stuff, they never really. They were always on good terms.
Yeah, they crashed like I think Canada was like when that was the bad one. But they didn't have like any big crashes like say Nico, Lewis, Spain 2016.
Yeah, nothing that caused a fallout really.
No. Like they're very good like teammates, obviously, all of that. But they still managed like Button would push him for the wins. He would push Lewis. There was that challenge of like who's gonna do better, but at the same time,
yeah, because
the chemistry is good. So that's why I think he's the best. Valtteri obviously is the best.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Valtteri, he says Valtteri is the best because he just handed him his wins.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because Bottas wasn't fast
enough.
Michael's
gonna say that my best teammate was Rubens, but like Rubens Barrichello was not like his best teammate. But
yeah, in terms of
he just gave up the win for him, so like obviously he's gonna call him his best teammate. So I don't see the argument to that.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with that either. I say Button was his best teammate easily, to be honest. Yeah. So to give context as to why Verstappen came third, I can't remember how good his lap time was. Actually, no, I think it was on for pole. obviously Red Bull started the media circus and were like, oh, he was like 4 tenths up after the first 2 corners and all of this. But what happened was Yuki gave Gasly a tow. Yuki was being given an engine penalty, so he had no business doing anything. But he got into Q3, gave Gasly a tow to help him out, and then Perez helped Max with a tow, and then Yuki obviously gets caught up. He's a bit slow. He gets out of the way. He's kicking up dust on the outside. I don't know why he was there. He should have just finished his lap. But then Perez gets distracted, moves out of the way, and then they're just going slow on the track. Max gets screwed
And
up.
they absolutely like slay it, like Red
They
Bull.
completely throw him under the bus. Like,
Yeah, but like, what's his name? Franz Tost, I think his name is.
yeah.
He came out and was like, it's not Yuki's fault. And I
Yeah.
like that he defended him, because it's not Yuki's fault. Yuki did what his team wanted him to do, moved out of the way. It's not his fault that Perez had like a
Completely,
So
yeah.
it goes.
I understand why Perez was a bit slow, but like, even then, it's definitely not Yuki's fault. You can't blame him for that. And the fact that the worst part is, it's one thing to throw a driver under the bus, but it's another one to throw Yuki. Like, everyone knows the relationship between AlphaTauri and Red Bull.
Exactly.
So you're not just throwing a driver under the bus. You're
He's
throwing a
your
Red
driver.
Bull
Yeah.
academy driver. Like, he's the reason you're the reason he's in F1. He's
You're
still
paying
under your
him.
wing,
You're paying
and it's awful too. It's just another embarrassing scene for Red Bull, to be honest. They're just, I don't know, it's just awful for them. Then
Perez
what?
gets a pole
Ah.
at home.
Hmm?
Perez gets a podium at home, sorry.
Oh yeah, there was the scenes. His dad was so wholesome as well. That was great to watch. I don't know if you saw that, but his dad just shouting about, he's there. I think Perez's son was actually just at the bottom of the podium. There's a great picture of him looking at his dad on the podium in Mexico, it's so sick to see. I love that podium. It's good stuff. And also, this was the first time we saw the flappy wing. This is the Red Bull wing. So Red Bull had an issue with their actuator when they opened the DRS. Rather than it just staying open, it started fluttering and it starts like waving about. And this was the first time this happened, which interestingly, they're getting questions about this. Obviously, it's not completely illegal. It's not strictly illegal, and it definitely doesn't help them. But they didn't want to risk having the FIA look at that, because definitely it's a safety issue. If that thing falls off and flies off into someone, that's dangerous. So they had to figure out how to deal with that, because it was coming up with their, I think it was their medium. I think it was their low downforce wing. Because there's a low downforce wing, a medium downforce, and a high downforce, and then a very low just for Monza. And it would come up in their low downforce, so they'd have to change their setup and use a different one, because it just kept happening. And this is something that kept happening until, I think we saw it in Saudi as well, the wing was still flapping at that point. So this is when they started their investigation into Mercedes' rear wing, and they started talking about score marks and all of this. They were talking about something against the rules, and I don't know, what did you think of all of that? Just the war of words afterwards.
Useless.
It sums them up. They didn't actually end up
Literally,
fighting it afterwards.
there's nothing like you can do.
Mercedes
I think what they
was
did in 2010, with the new regulations, Red Bull at the time, they had their their rear wing. So I think it was their rear wing under front wing. I think it's front wing. So under the forces applied by the older tests, it passed all the tests. But when you actually go on because essentially carbon fiber can be directed, you can have the fibers point in a certain direction. So it passed certain tests, but on the long runs it would actually lean down, so they can generate a bit more downforce and stuff. So that was really clever, because it's within the rules. It passes all the tests and stuff. But this was just there was actually nothing there. The whole year was about bendy wing, what do they call it? Bendy rear wings. There was really nothing to it. So it was just kind of you have to jump on something to distract from your car to their car.
Definitely, yeah. Because obviously there was the whole thing about near the start of the year, the Red Bull wing, and they introduced new ways of measuring that and all of this. And honestly, it's just...
It wasn't just Red Bull. A few teams had very bendy wings.
Oh yeah, they said I think it was Alpine. Someone said it had a major one that might have been worse than Red Bull. They had to change that.
But everyone was so obviously on Red Bull because they were leading at the time.
Yeah, and that's why Red Bull wanted to change the focus onto Mercedes. They're like, look at this wing is so bad and all of that stuff.